Hello and welcome. So we've got a full direct comparison of Legoland Dubai against Legoland Windsor. Now, on the minute, every minute, the screens will flip. So we've got Legoland Dubai up at the top, and then we've got Windsor at the bottom right-hand corner. Windsor, we started at the halfway mark, and we'll do a full loop from there. Dubai will go from where we are, which is right by the entrance, and then we'll do a full loop round. So at least that way we'll be able to compare all the different bits and pieces and some of the lands that are very, very similar, and also bits and pieces that are completely different. So in the bottom right-hand corner, we're currently in the Kingdom section, which is an amazing part of Legoland Dubai. And I think the actual Legoland Dubai area of the entrance is probably one of the most impressive sections that I've seen out of any of the parks, just with regards to how the theming is. So you've got all the little bits and pieces around. You can see there's a Lego factory just up there. You've also got the massive shop. You've got some restaurants and the big three bricks, which are obviously located outside the Lego house in Billund, Denmark as well. So that's a nice little touch from the Lego park in Dubai. Now, as we flip straight over to Legoland Windsor, we take a better look at the main bit at the bottom. So, like I said, we're right by the Kingdom, which is where the big roller coaster is for the Green Dragon. So, from here, we're then going to make our way up to Pirate Falls, which is all the pirate theming and obviously all the water-based stuff as well. Now, that is one thing that Legoland Dubai does not have. It does not have a log flume or anything like that, because they actually have a water park right next door, which you do need a separate ticket to. So there is some huge differences. They don't actually have any of the pirate theming, which is about what we're about to take a look at Windsor as well. So all of these little bits and pieces now, with all the swings and everything that we will be having a quick look at before it flips back through, none of those are located within the Dubai park. But you can also see there is a minifigure market at Dubai, which is what Windsor does not have either. But there's a lot of rides between both of these parks that neither of them have. Some of them are exactly the same. Some of the theming has obviously changed as well. Both of these videos were filmed in 2022, just trying to keep it fair with what was out at that time. Now, as we're still walking through the top, you can see there's also a Photoshop. The Photoshop is available at Legoland Windsor as well, I do believe, but that is in a slightly different location. It's not directly up at the top by the entrance. I think you just start walking down the slope, and it's just by the tram bit where you get down onto the hill. It's just on the left-hand side over the road from one of the shops just there. There's also a big restaurant up at the top, so you can see you've got like an ice cream factory just up at the top here, and there's also another cafe. That is another slight difference to how they've got it moved at Legoland Windsor. You've got to go a little bit further into the park to be able to get into any of those little bits and pieces with regards to actually having a bite to eat. But they have just recently opened up a new coffee place as well. Loads and loads of models to compare as well, because at the moment we're actually looking at two completely different lots of models. So we've got the big pirate section down at the bottom. Loads of models are located within that area, and then also we've got this big area up at the top where we've got the water section that we're about to be coming into for Dubai. Now, both of these sections, with regards to where we're looking at Dubai and where we will be looking at that section in Windsor, they are both exactly the same theming. But if you notice, it is actually Atlantis that we're going to be having a look at Dubai, but they've used the Squid Racer, which is actually located in a completely different park of Legoland Windsor. Where we're looking at now at the Spinning Spiders, that is a ride that Dubai does not have either, and they don't have the Vikings River Splash. So anything water related with regards to like log flumes and things like that, like I said, they do not have at Dubai. So Windsor does have a huge variety of bits and pieces, but they also do not have this massive squid model. But they have just obviously recently rethemed it over like the last year or so for Windsor to their new Mythica section, so it's all been repainted in a slightly different color. In fact, the theming with regards to this ride that we're looking at Dubai is also completely different to Legoland Billund as well. So we're going to take a walk up the hill at Windsor, so that's a nice steep walk, and then we'll go back to Dubai, and you can see just how beautiful the weather is there. The park at Dubai was very, very quiet at the time, but you can see that they have got a like-for-like submarine, so it is the same ride. That is in a completely different section of the park at Legoland Windsor, so they have just split all the rides up, but they have used very, very similar theming, especially with regards to the submarine that we're about to take a look at right now. That is something that is exactly the same at Legoland Windsor. They don't have this at all of the parks. I don't believe they have this at the one in Billund, but they do have a walkthrough. Whereas this one is actually a boat that you would get on, exactly the same as Windsor. And that's where you go underneath and you see all of the fish. Now, when it flips over in a second, we will still be making our way up the hill, which then takes us to the big shop and basically the entrance of the park at Windsor. the way it's done at Dubai is that they've almost got two lands in one. So we're obviously looking around at the moment at the Atlantis, but we will about to change over to the laser shooter. Now, the laser shooter is exactly like for like with regards to filming and theming, shall I say, not filming, with regards to theming of the actual ride. Now, the only problem was is that I didn't actually get on the ride because it was actually broken down on the week that I was there, which is a little bit of a shame. But with regards to what the queue line and everything looked like, it looked almost identical, and also the painting on the floor and everything else is exactly the same. So it was a much smaller park because you can see we're about to go into two sections, whereas we're still walking up that one slope past the river splash now on the right hand side. As you can see where all those people are, we're still making our way up to the top before we can even basically start to come back down. So Windsor is a much larger park between the two, but like I said, don't forget you have got a huge water park, which is not necessary at Windsor, because they've got the little splash towers for the Duplo section, whereas it is a full-blown water park for adults and children alike. Now, back at Dubai, you can see that we were there at the laser shooter, as now we're still looking at the area of the river rapids just at the top. So it's a long walkway all the way up to the top. It's a big snake, so you can just see going from bottom to top how long it actually takes to get from Windsor. But there are three ways down from Windsor when we come up to the entrance. That is one of them. So that tram that you can see there, the red, yellow and blue, you can actually get on the hill train, which takes you all the way from the bottom, and that just takes you directly up to the top. Now, during the day, it's very well, it's basically empty if you want to go from the bottom to the top of the park, because it takes you directly to the entrance, which is where we're going to be looking at in a second. But again, if you have a look at Dubai in the bottom, you can see we are in sort of the theming area for the laser shooter, and you can just see how the wall color and the texture and everything is exactly the same. Now, if you've been to either of these parks in 2023 or before 2023, then obviously please let me know in the comments below what you thought. What do you think of the theming? How was your experience of the day? Hopefully you had a nice good time. Now, back at Dubai, back out into the sunshine. And that is one thing that Dubai does have. It has absolutely stunning weather when I was there. So I was very lucky. Bearing in mind, I filmed this in February, I do believe, and I was pretty much walking around in shorts and t-shirt. We're still climbing up to the top at the one in Windsor, but you can see that that is basically where it is exactly the same with regards to the theming and obviously the big model that they've got here at Dubai that they also have at Windsor, which we will obviously be taking a look at when we get round to that way. Now, from here, the theming stays the same, but something they don't have at Windsor is a children's play area within this section. But they only have the one ride at Dubai, whereas Windsor, they'll have two, because they've got like the little drop tower as well, and they've got like the computer games, where they don't have that in Dubai, but they do have a massive pizza and pasta buffet with some amazing theming on the inside. Now, we are almost at the top at Windsor, so we're nearly there, because you can see now you've still got the hill train. There's a really nice view up and across, but if I pan around now to the left, you are now about to see some of the shop. Now, we are almost at the entrance, so you can make your own mind up is what you prefer. Do you prefer the Windsor theming at the entrance, or do you prefer the Dubai? So obviously this is the whole point of me doing these two direct comparisons side by side. We get a full loop of both parks, but then at the same time you can play spot the difference, and obviously we can see what the similarities are, but then you can make your own mind up with regards to what you prefer. Obviously there are some rather large models at the entrance of Windsor, but I think that the theming is a little bit better on the outside of the park and how it wraps around on the inside of the park with regards to what they've got at Dubai, whereas they've gone for a slightly different texture and feel on the outside of those buildings. But we are again in the newer part of Windsor, where they have now got this Coffee Co section. So that is another like for like, which we saw that we were stood actually in the ice cream, and I think they're both actually green as well, and they both do have separate models in, but you can use that as a little cut through. Now, back to Dubai up at the top, you can see that we're still in the adventure theming section. So that area of the park isn't too bad, because you've got the laser shooter, and then you've got a couple of little different bits and pieces for the little ones to play on with regards to, they have like their own specific play area, and they also do have their own build area. But you can see going past two models, completely different models on that one. We had the big donkey up at the top, and they had the huge Hulk Buster down at the bottom. And now just down at the bottom is where you have your photo opportunity, and that is also where you get on the hill train, where you make your way down to the bottom. So as we carry on going down into the next section for Windsor, we'll stick with Johnny Thunder, and this is the little play area that they've got. And again, if you've noticed that one of the big differences, they have all of these covers. So obviously, because it is so hot in Dubai, they add a load of shading. Now, if you haven't caught it, I have done a full comparison of the two mini land parks with regards to Legoland Dubai versus Billund. And again, the huge difference is that the mini land in Dubai is all indoors, whereas obviously it is slightly different with regards to Billund because the location is completely different, and obviously it's all outdoors, so it gives you that completely different feel of both. So we are now snaking our way down at Windsor. So we've got some steps to go down. There's some slides and different bits and pieces that you can do for the little ones. You can see it will just zigzag all the way through. You've got the hill train just to the right hand side, so you can, again, I'm basically taking the pushchair and wheelchair access on the way down. But you can see, again, just the difference with regards to how they've got all of this shading. Now, I would imagine that maybe one day they would add in a little bit of shading at some point with regards to the different bits and pieces that you can see, because it kind of just makes sense to do. Because different places in Windsor, there's not really that many places to sit down, and there's not that many different places to get away from the sunlight either. So maybe one day they might start adding in those sort of overhead canopies where you can sort of escape a little bit from the sun, even if it's only in different sections of the park. So that is the adventure section done. Now we're moving on to the imagination centre. Now both parks do have an imagination centre, and now it just happens to be by fluke that the next section that we're going to be literally walking around the corner and going into for Windsor is also the imagination centre as well. But again, two huge differences is the models. They have much larger models and a slightly larger area for the one in Dubai. I know now that they've actually added in quite a bit to the one in Windsor. I do believe the new Ferrari section is going to be there as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to that and seeing all the different bits and pieces that they have there. With regards to the music and things, you can see that you've got the stand-on bits where they do play the musical instruments here at the one in Dubai, and I don't think they have that at all at the one in Windsor. I know they've got one in Florida, but they've actually added that into the Friends section, and they do have one at Billund, but they've added that outside the Burger King, or like their Burger Star section, shall we say. But now we're going to flip straight back to the one in Windsor, and we are back in the Imagination Centre. Now, the T-Rex is gone, so that T-Rex is no longer there. Also, the minifigures and more store is no longer there either. And I think the Lego Reef has disappeared, because I think all of this now is completely different for the Ferrari. And you can see how very, very similar, because both of these buildings are at the exact same point. We're looking at the exact same thing from both, but they have different theming on the inside. So what you could build in Dubai wasn't a reef, it was something slightly different. But you can see you've got the clubhouse and the Friends when you go in on there, and you've also got a ride that goes around the top of the tracks on this one. Now the difference is, again, another big difference is, even though we're both in the imagination centres, we also have a huge Duplo section in the middle of the one of this in Dubai, whereas that is in its own complete land at the one in Windsor. So even though they're basically the same theming, completely different at the same time. As you can see now, as we're walking through the path at Windsor, you could see the Duplo section a little bit further back. And this ride that we're now looking at used to be in Windsor beside the T-Rex, but this got pulled out a long, long time ago. It's a lift where you just go all the way up to the top and you can let go of the rope, and then it just comes back down again. So it gives you a half decent workout. They have that ride still at Billund, and they've got that in the Pirate section, and they've got it in the Imagination section at Florida as well. Now, have you been to the Germany park recently, then please let me know if they actually do have that there, because I'm not 100% sure what rides and everything like that they've got located within Legoland Germany currently. I know they have done a massive expansion with regards to the Mythica. So I am looking forward to putting a Mythica comparison together from Germany and Windsor, just to see the differences between the two. Where we're currently looking at Windsor used to be where the old golf course is, and now all of this potentially is going to be where the new roller coaster is going to go at the Windsor Park as well, because there's huge expansions coming. We're looking at the 4D movie theatre, because we're still in the Imagination Centre in Dubai. There was a 4D cinema at Windsor as well. These slides have now all been ripped out and gone. It's amazing how quickly things can change in such a short period of time. So all of those got ripped out towards the end of that season, and all the digging work and everything else like that started as well. So it is a huge difference and change very, very quickly. So it won't be long until I do a Windsor versus Windsor comparison video with regards to what used to be in what section. But I do actually have a lot of the original footage from when it used to be a golf course from back in the day as well. So that's something that we can share. Now you can see again, Dubai, massive model. At Windsor, about to head into the new Duplo Valley. I say new, it's been there for a good few years now. But again, big difference because we're now about to head to the Miniland. Now that is how far you have to walk for Windsor to get to the Miniland, where you actually have to physically walk through the Miniland to get to one of the zones that we're currently looking at. So it's a very, very clever system that they got in Dubai. They use the Miniland basically as an indoor cut through, and it spits you out to different parts of the park. So if you've been there, let me know. What do you prefer, which layout and everything like that? Because I always like to know what you think of your own park, and if there's any other theme park that you would like to go to under the Legoland banner. Because at the moment of me filming this, there are 9 currently available. I want to try and tick all 9 off because you can just see now just how different everything is. Now, with regards to what I'm doing at Windsor, it's just a non-stop loop walk round, whereas the one in Dubai, actually, I end up having a little bit more of a look and a detail because they were uploaded as separate videos, but we are now in the Kingdom section. So this is where we were started at Windsor. You can see huge castle entrance at the front. You've got these nice models, and you've got some that are falling asleep. And then they, again, slight difference on the queue line to their dragon. Everything is indoors and it's all air conditioned. So that is another huge difference. So they do not have that at Windsor. Queue line looks basically exactly the same. You go up the stairs and you wrap it around just like you would do at Legoland Windsor, but it is just all indoors compared to it being outdoors. Now, the driving school, we're about to come into the Lego City section at Legoland Windsor. They have the exact same thing at the driving school with regards to what is available at Dubai, but they also have some bits and pieces in their Lego City that is located in the Legoland Duplo at Windsor. So again, slight differences. They do have the Coast Guard boat thing that we're about to walk past now, the bright orange and bright blue thing. They have one of those in Dubai as well, so we'll take a good look at that when we get to the next section of the park, because we're still walking around the Kingdom section. Now, that is one, again, another big difference for the Kingdom section, going back to Dubai, is that not only do they have the big roller coaster and the junior roller coaster as well, they also have 2 other rides within there. So they've got one extra ride that Windsor does not have, and they also have 2 big eateries there as well. So that is something that they do not have down at the bottom of the park at Windsor. It's not somewhere that you can sort of sit down and eat. You've got like a quick grab and go for like a hot dog where you can grab yourself a drink or something like that. They do have that, but they don't have a sat down eatery. But what Dubai does not have is they do not have the haunted house, which you're about to walk past at the one in Windsor. But you can see there's lots of different ice creams available in Dubai. And again, they've got these massive things where you can get some shade, or you can stand out in the sun. So, and there's your little baby roller coaster, which I think does have some really, really nice theming. That is the Dragon's Apprentice. As at Windsor, we're beating the traffic because that was filmed in a very, very busy day. And we're just walking past the little Coast Guard boats, and we're about to walk past, obviously, the haunted house as well. But you can see all the theming that they've got in there. This is a really nice place, actually, just to sit down and soak a lot of different bits and pieces in. You can easily grab yourself a bite to eat or a drink, or this is why I just end up changing a load of batteries, because there's so many benches around this area. Again, a big thing that Windsor was missing at the time of both of these being filmed. There's not that many places to sit down at Windsor. Now, we have walked all the way around that park, and we've just about to come over the tracks. And now that is something else that do not have in Dubai either, but we're at the Deep Sea Adventure, which is obviously Atlantis. Now you can see about the front, the submarine looks basically exactly the same, but they don't have at Windsor the ride on the other side. So you can just see how big that section was at Dubai, but there's just those 2 things in, where they've actually spread it out a completely different way again at Windsor, because we have to walk all the way around to the other side of the park to see the other ride that was located within in this section at the one in Dubai. So we're still walking past the Dragon's Apprentice down at the bottom, and we're about to just sort of kick in and have a quick look at some of the fish at the one in Windsor. I cut that out of the one at Dubai because the Dubai walk around was about 10 minutes longer. So now what I've done, I've chopped some little bits and pieces about, but you do have all of these fish and everything like that at the one in Dubai, and it's obviously a very, very nice thing. When we come round, we will then eventually hit the Lego City. So there's only about 10 minutes left, so there's not too much longer to go. So we've still got a little bit of a section to walk round at the one at Windsor, and then we have just the one big land to go at Dubai. So you can see just how large that castle is. I'm not too sure what castle I prefer, to be honest. I don't know if I prefer this huge, long castle, or how you got the big entrance at the one in Windsor. So they are two completely different things. The one thing I wasn't too keen on at Dubai compared to Windsor was you still got a lot of pay to plays in Dubai, where you've got the members of staff asking if you want to, pay and play and all that kind of thing and win a load of stuff. They took a big section of that out at the one in Windsor. They do still have one or two sort of in the middle as you cut through, but hopefully eventually they get rid of those as well, because it's not. They used to have like a fairground type section at Windsor, which they obviously don't have anymore. But there just seems to be a lot of them at Dubai, and they also try and catch you at the front of the before you even get in, trying to sell you all sorts of like merchandise and bubble machines and things. So again, completely different culture, completely different experience. But you can see sort of side by side now, you've got two huge buildings. So you've got the big Atlantis, and then you've got the big castle. So it won't be long until we get to the other end. Again, at Dubai, you can see that you've got the big Knights table. So that is the big eatery that I was talking about, which is what they are missing at the one in Windsor. With regards to how they've got the layout of this sort of fish ride at Windsor, did you like it at Dubai, whether you got more than the one ride, or do you think it works quite nicely there? Because we're about to come in to the Castle Hotel. Now, that is something that they do not have at Dubai. They have a huge hotel, and that is a relatively new hotel as well compared to the actual theme park, but they do not have the Castle Hotel there. So that is something that they do not have whatsoever. So they don't have these theming, and they don't have this massive amount of water around the middle. That's what you can see that we're having a look at now. I do think, though, that Dubai had lots of little models dotted around. So I said it in the last video that I did of a comparison, that I thought that their Miniland was quite sparse compared to the Miniland of the Billand. I keep getting all the parks mixed up. But they do seem to have a huge amount of models dotted around. But funny enough, the area that we're walking around now, if you stop and look up into all the trees for Windsor, they'll have squirrels, they'll have birds, they'll have all sorts of different bits and pieces dotted around. And yes, if you have got an eagle eye, the track layout for the Dragon roller coaster is completely different, and the ride is much quicker. So the ride at Windsor is much slower than this one. The quickest coaster that I've been on with regards to the Dragon theming is actually the one in Germany, but I think it's just depending on the track layout. It might have just felt quicker than what it actually was, but each track is completely different because obviously they can only fit a certain amount of track in depending on what space that they have. So as we're walking around the water for the one in Windsor, where this will take us would be to where the new Mythica section is. To the left-hand side of where I'm walking past those people that are eating, that is the huge hotel. Now they have added in quite a lot of the dinosaurs as well. This had like a safari ride that they've got in Billund, but they had it as their own dino ride. So the safari style ride is available still in Germany, I do believe, and obviously you can get on in Billund because that's included within their Miniland. But what got knocked out, or taken out, shall I say, to actually add in the new castle was all of these models that we're about to be having a look at, which I think is a little bit of a shame, but hopefully they might be able to do something with them. I'm just glad that they didn't throw them away. It would be almost quite nice if they used this as a bit of a picnic area where you could actually sit down and have some benches and get some better photos taken of them. But now we're going to go into the brand new section, which is the Mythica. So all of this has completely changed. So you'll spot the ride that we've already seen at Dubai, but the theming of this is completely different. You can see just how far apart they all are as well. So you can see you've got the big track with that coaster shooting around. So that is a very impressive looking thing. And then you've got the actual real life ducks. Now we are in the Lego City. This, I think, is one of the most impressive sections of the park. There's a lot going on. So as we walk down the strip, there's plenty of shading bits, which I really appreciate because it doesn't take up any space. Because if you notice that they've got them right in the middle, they've got like a Lego Technic piece that it looks like all the way up, and they're really high above, so you can easily sit down. You can just stand in all those bits of shade if you want to. But each one of these buildings, or the fascias, is very similar to, I guess, like Heart Lake City, but every single thing is something. So the police station is a building place. You then got something else where you can find out some information. Directly behind me is where you get your driving license from the school. Then you've got loads of models and loads of photo opportunities. So this is very similar to their friends Heart Lake City, with just like the amount of different bits and pieces they've got going on. but they don't actually have anything Friends related at the one in Dubai, and they don't even do the shows either. Thinking about it, they don't have like the jet ski thing. They have got the harbour, which if you keep your eyes peeled in the bottom, and that's something that we will be having a look at, but they haven't got the ability to be able to put on like a full-blown show. Now, the Mythica is absolutely outstanding with regards to just the different types of models and theming. As we take a good look at my trainers on the floor, you can see all of these new models that they've sort of added in and done different bits and pieces with, and they've extended it a little bit more. That's why I'm very, very eager to see what they've done at the one at Legoland Germany, because they've had a multi-million-pound expansion of Germany. They've not taken anything away, but they have added in what looks like their Legoland's world's first style of roller coaster, where you almost go around on a wing. Now it looks absolutely fantastic. It reminds me actually of like the Eagle ride um, at Tennessee, or you've then got like the John Wick style of ride, but it's just going to be turned down ever so slightly. So it's going to be an interesting looking thing. Now, this I really like from Dubai is the Lego minifigure fountain. I think that's a cool thing where you can get some really nice photos. You can see all the different elements that you've used in there, and you've got all of the just everything. So if you want to pause it and make a list of every single different model that's in there and also every different brick, feel free. But behind it you can see there's the massive city shop. Now that is full of speed champion cars. That is all Lego City stuff, but it's mainly the Lego City speed champion cars because that's where you get your driving license. But the shop was really big. Now we're actually walking through Heart Lake City now at Windsor. You can see again just how busy that is at Windsor, and to me, apart from the theming, obviously it feels like the most fullest bit of the one in Dubai as well. Huge amount of models everywhere for this. So these have models that all the other parks don't have. And then you've got the the Rescue Academy. That is where you put the fires out. So that is a like for like ride that they've got at a lot of the parks. But if you are watching from Legoland Germany, yes, your one is white. Yours is a completely different theming and color, but it is the same principle. Now back to the Heart Lake City in Windsor, you can see that we're just about to walk over the tracks because the barriers have just opened up. Like I said before, that is something that Dubai does not have. They do not have the ability just to get on. But we are back at the Kingdom of the Pharaohs, so we've nearly done a full loop at Windsor. And you can see in a second the like-for-like theming. Some of the models are slightly different on the outside, as you can probably tell, but they do have the main fascia is exactly the same. But this one, as you can see, if we were to go in it, they have a sort of a computer system play area, and they have these rides dotted around the outside, whereas they've got more of the soft play bits and pieces at the one in Dubai. So they don't have those two rides on the right hand side, and they don't have where the PS4 bits are by the queue line on the left hand side. But back to the Lego City, this has a lot of rides that the Lego City does not have at Windsor. They have, like I said before, they've added in some of the airport rides, which is very, very similar to what they have at the Duplo section of Windsor. And you can see you've got the nice airport where you go through cool, it's sort of this really nice theming at the front where it feels like you are actually going into an airport. Now, you might have spotted that there's not been an Ninjago either, and there is actually, I was quite surprised that they have not added a Ninjago theme to Dubai at all. I don't know if they have the Ninjago hotel theming, but they do not have that whatsoever at the one in Windsor, which I was very surprised about. I know the park is slightly older, but I'm just surprised that they haven't thought of just trying to add that in, even if it's just some models. So I didn't see any of the models whatsoever. But again, different cultures, they might not like it over there, or they might just be thinking they might add it in for a future expansion. Jumping back to the Pirates at Windsor. So we are running out of time at Windsor, and we're almost running out of time with the video as well. So guys, if you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. If this is something you like, you'd like to see more direct comparisons of both, then obviously please let us know in the comments below. It's good fun putting it together. I know I get a bit tongue-tied with all the different parks and things, but you know, it is what it is. This is only the second ever video I've done like this. There's the big burger place. That is a very, very similar to what we saw at obviously the one in Dubai, but that was actually by the Dragon roller coaster. So from here, you've got to walk all the way down for maybe a good couple of minutes until you get to the Dragon roller coaster, and then that's where you'll be at. So if you are very, very hungry, you do have to sort of almost plan it a little bit more, unless you're happy just getting all of these little hot dogs and things like that, and it doesn't matter too much. But if you've noticed, every single bit of theming in the one in Dubai, because we're looking at another one now, has big restaurants. Each area has its own sat down big restaurant place. Not so much the fast food. They don't have those sort of hot dog places if you want to go and grab anything. I can't remember actually thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to pick up something that's simple and easy from the one in Dubai. You do have to sit down. So we can see that you had the big buffet. You've got this big restaurant with the really cool theming on the outside. There's some plenty of all you can eat bits and pieces as well in here. So they've got multiple places, just like they do at Windsor. But I think for sat down bits and pieces, they have it almost better at the one in Dubai. But then if you want something just simple and quick and easy, it's much easier from the one in Windsor. But we've done the full loop. We've done the full castle loop at Windsor now. So you can see we're back to where we started. So I started and finished in the same place of basically both videos. But the Windsor one is a little bit shorter. So where we're looking at now is actually a huge soft play area. And this is where you have the harbour boats where you can just cruise around the outside. They do have one or two models there, but nothing drastic or fantastic. As you can see, the Windsor one has now completely finished. So Windsor's done. So we've got a couple of minutes left at the one in Dubai. Huge hotel. That is the new hotel that they've added in. It looks amazing by the photos, and it's really simple to get into the park from where you're at. But by the looks of it and what I saw when I was here, there is no direct access into the different part of the park. So you don't have your own special gate. Now, that is something that they have very cleverly at the one in Germany, the one in Windsor, and also the one in Billund. So they don't have like a separate access where you can just sort of sneak in and out the park, which it doesn't spoil it that much, but it's almost quite nice to be able to sort of sneak in a different way. And there's a member of staff there, and you show me a ticket. You can easily get back to your hotel. Or you actually, to get back into your hotel from where I am now, I'd have to walk all the way around, then go back through the main entrance, and then kick it into the hotel, which is actually located on my left-hand side. So again, big differences with regards to where you stay, what you do, and how you do them. And hopefully you can see that just how big the difference is here for the seaport and all of these models. Now, again, big section. They had the Coast Guard HQ, which is what they call it at Legoland Windsor. That's the bright orange, yellow, bright orange, white, and blue as we were walking past. This is on a much larger scale, but they do have more sort of soft play areas here at the one in Dubai, because I'm struggling to think if they've even got one at Windsor or if it's just the huge Duplo section. So again, almost in every single zone that we visited so far, there's something for the slightly older ones and slightly younger ones and teeny tiny ones all alike, really close together. So again, depending on what layout you prefer, this park, obviously Dubai Park, is much smaller. But what I've obviously done within these videos, I've gone around one way and come back up the other, whereas Windsor was just a full loop with the camera facing forward. And as I was walking, we're looking at everything on the left-hand side and looking at everything on the right-hand side. But if I was to do that at Windsor, you would have doubled the time. So the park at Windsor is much bigger. But we are now walking back up to basically the very end bit. You've got some of the police officers. You've got some nice minifigures or models of the minifigures in some really nice shirts. Some of these shirts that I've never seen before ever. So there's not too much more to come from Dubai, but we will take our way up to the past the driving school. We've got the little Lego shop, we've got the Speed Champions. But as we start to wrap it up, guys, let me know what you'd like each park to take away from each other. What we're just walking underneath now, I think, is a must for a couple of the other parks, just with regards to having a little bit of shelter and obviously a place, especially if it's raining, because obviously the UK, not so much because of the sun, but even if it is raining, there's just somewhere to sit down underneath, and you don't have to sort of run into some of the buildings, obviously, because we've seen Windsor is so big. There is obviously the extreme of Dubai with the heat. So you can see all of these things up at the top, but because they've actually got the ability to do them, I'm surprised we don't have any of them at my local park at Windsor. But I don't mean making it this extreme where the whole of the driving school is completely sheltered and covered from the sun. That's just taking it a little bit too much. But then at the same time, at least this ride can run all year round, and the little ones won't get wet and they won't get burnt either. So that is obviously the most important thing. But let us know what you think. Let us know which park you prefer, or like I said, more importantly, what you would like your local park to take away. And also, what does your local park have that you think might be a little bit better as well? Again, If you want to see more of these videos from the different places around the world, there's individual playlists available for everything that we've had a look at. So we've got Legoland Windsor playlist, Billund playlist, we've obviously got the Dubai, we've got all the other theme parks that are located to the Dubai playlist as well currently, unless I move them onto a secondary channel. But guys, that is it. I am done. So as always, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and I'll catch you next one. Ta-da.